All right, I'm going to start letting everybody in.
Sounds perfect.
All right, handing it over to you now, Scott.
Sounds good. Sounds like a good time to start since it's the start time. I'd like to welcome everyone to our ACT test day training. I'm sure we'll have some more people jumping in as we go. Please remember this is being recorded, so if you want to go back and listen to it, please give us a couple of days to get it uploaded to our assessment and accountability website, YouTube channel, and we'll get it loaded there. Today, during the presentation, it's going to be presented as a recording for a good chunk of it. So if you have any questions, please take and save those questions to the end. Besides myself from USBE, we also have Emily, who's helping us run this on our Zoom, and we appreciate that a whole lot. We also have Jessica Wilhelm here also from USBE, and then from ACT, Marissa and Erica are here to help you answer your questions. And if we need to, we could bug Mark too. Mark's always helpful. And just save your questions to the end, and we'll go ahead and turn it over to Emily, who's going to start our recording. So thanks for being here.
All right, so here we go. Hopefully this works. Again. Can everybody see my screen?
It's looking good.
Okay.
Welcome to this administration training session for ACT test administration using ACT Now.
Okay.
We want to say thank you for your willingness to support students by providing this opportunity. Today we'll cover important dates, preparation for online testing, day of test, after the test. I'd like to quickly go through the important dates you'll need to remember. Some of the key milestone dates for this administration include the following. Request accommodations, the deadline for that is January 24th. Accept invitation and load users, the deadline for that is January 31st. To verify student information, you need to have that completed also by January 31st. Technical site readiness was available starting on December 2nd, and we suggest that you have that done by February 5th. The request qualified exceptions to the deadline is for the Test Administration 1, January 27 through March 7. For Test Event 2, those dates are March 11 through March 14. And you can add and assign additional students for Test Event 1, February 10 through February 28, for Test Event 2, February 24 through March 14, and for Test Event 3, March 10 through March 28. Remember, you will receive test materials 2 to 3 weeks before your actual test date. There is more than one system used to prepare and administer the ACT test. Let's take a moment to review these systems. ACT Now is the application used by districts and schools to manage organizations, users, and students for the life cycle of your program's ACT testing contract. TCM is an interactive digital application that ACT testing staff will use to manage test center information and administer the ACT. The TCM application streamlines test day activities, simplifies staff training, and provides data to ACT in real time. Using TCM, room supervisors will complete verbal instructions, room seating charts, test timing, and logging irregularities on test day. Test coordinators will build virtual rooms, log materials, and oversee test center activities during a test event. You will access TCM through ACT Now. ACT policies and resources are available in TCM. This is information previously included in the administration manuals. Success.act.org is a website which is used to access online reporting and the Test Accessibility and Accommodation System, or TAA. This allows for one interface, username, and password to access both online reports and TAA. The Test Accessibility and Accommodation System, or TAA, is the site used to submit requests for ACT authorized accommodations and supports for examinees. The Online Reports portal is a dynamic, interactive reporting tool. It allows users to create the custom reports which work best for their institution to interpret and use the data to best serve their students. Most resources needed for administration will be found within ACT Now and TCM. Your ACT-hosted testing website has additional resources to guide you through a successful testing journey. Before test day, you'll need to do some preparation. Your schedule of events will include dates and deadlines for all of these pre-administration activities. Your State Department of Education will add organizations, invite them to participate, and add users to the administration. Test coordinators at the district or school level should accept participation to the administration. In this process, they'll select test events and material receipt weeks, as well as providing information about the primary and shipping contact for each school. Test coordinators will assign students to a test event. The Test Accessibility and Accommodations Coordinator should learn about accessibility and supports available for the ACT and request ACT authorized accommodations and English learner supports. Students will need to complete non-test activities in their MyACT accounts. Again, please refer to your schedule of events for the deadlines associated to each of these tasks. Your state will upload student information. Once students are loaded, test coordinators will use the Students tile to verify student information, assign or review student test event, and edit student information if needed. An important step in preparing for testing is supporting students to complete their student non-test information. ACT will print and ship individualized copies of the student non-test information instructions for each student assigned to a test event in ACT Now by the deadlines listed in your schedule of events. If you add students after the deadline, you can generate and print these instructions from the Reports tab. Also on the Reports tab, you will generate the Student Claim Code Report. Use this to see which students have completed their non-test information. Use the Overview tab to confirm student information looks correct from a high level. Here you will find multiple different charts, including a breakdown of the number of students assigned to each test event, test format, and student grade. Through the Test Events tile, click on your school to see a high-level summary of each test event within the administration. This is also where you will go to launch into TCM. On the Reports tab, you will find the Order Tracking Report, which contains the FedEx tracking numbers for your test materials. Be sure to generate the report before opening to make sure that any new shipments are accounted for. Now let's discuss technical readiness. The test coordinator and technical coordinator need to complete these steps to administer the test online. Step 1, the test coordinator appoints a technical coordinator. The technical coordinator reviews technical requirements. Note, please see the TestNav system requirements for more information. Step 2, when a test coordinator confirms their organization's participation in administration, a technical readiness test event will be automatically created and assigned to that user in TCM. By clicking on the technical readiness test event in TCM and selecting Monitor Rooms, you will be able to access standard time and text-to-speech technical readiness rooms in TCM. Each room will have 10 sample students assigned. By selecting Manage Online Testing, the rooms with sample students will appear, along with the seal codes for each test. You will be able to see the student's username and password, or you can download authorization tickets that contain the username and passwords. The technical coordinator performs a technical readiness test to confirm the tests launch successfully. Step 3. The technical coordinator validates configuration by using data from the sample students in the technical readiness test event in TCM. Log into TestNav on a device that will be used to test. Navigate through each test section to validate configuration. If unable to successfully complete the test, contact ACT for assistance. Note, for ACT testing, the writing test is included in the sample used for testing, even if the contract does not include writing. The technical coordinator then configures the network and will lock down devices. Note, if at any point the technical coordinator doubts that online testing can be accomplished, the technical coordinator should advise the test coordinator to switch to a paper administration. You should freeze the configuration until online testing is finished at your organization. This includes not accepting operating system updates. Important, all devices that will be used for testing must be administrator controlled. No software of any sort should be downloaded or updated on any computer that will be used for testing after the setup above has been completed. Next, let's discuss prepare for testing. The My ACT Resources section of your ACT-hosted testing website contains some great free resources for your students and staff to prepare for the ACT. For students, there is a link called Information for Examinees, which links to a website which should be shared with students, as seen on the screen here. However, we do not want students accessing your ACT-hosted testing website. The link is also made available to examinees in the Taking the ACT document. This link contains a My ACT Quick Start Guide and an account setup video, as well as information to access an online practice test in TestNav, which will allow examinees to become familiar with the testing platform prior to test day. We will now discuss Test Center Manager, referred to as TCM, and explain how you will use this system to administer your program's ACT test. You may already be familiar with TCM if your organization is an ACT National Test Site. But now let's talk about how TCM is used for ACT state and district testing. You will use TCM to access ACT's policies around the rules and regulations for a successful administration of the ACT, formally provided in the printed manuals. You will also use TCM to manage testing, such as creating test rooms and submitting irregularities. Pre-test and post-test checklists are also available to help ensure all tasks have been completed. To access TCM, start by signing into ACT Now. Here you will have two different paths to get to TCM. First, there is an ACT TCM link in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Clicking this link will take you directly into TCM. The second path you can take is through the Test Events tile. The Launch TCM button is on the right-hand side of the Test Events page. You may need to select a school first to see this option, depending on the organization level you are associated to. You are now on the home page of Test Center Manager, TCM. We will start by going over the ACT policy and resource modules. The product groups shown on this page will depend on the products that your TCM account is associated to. You will only see the products that are relevant to you. Although there is a warning message stating how many modules are incomplete, you only need to read the module that is associated to your user role within TCM. The modules have been refined to only provide information relevant to your role. The User Resources module will contain multiple different resources that can be used to help navigate TCM, including setting up TCM and managing test day activities. The policy and resource modules are a replacement for the paper manuals. Entire modules or individual chapters can be printed locally if you want certain information on paper. If you are a national test coordinator, in addition to the test coordinator for state or district testing, be sure to select state and district policies. Click each one and read each section, then select I read and understand the information. Go through each section until all policies are attested to. If there are policies that don't apply to you, for example, if you're testing online and there is a section about paper testing only, you can skip that chapter in the module. You do not need to read all of the policies in one sitting. TCM will keep track of the sections that you have read, and you can pick back up at any time. You may also go back and reference a section that has already been marked as read. After reviewing policies, return back to the TCM homepage to access the assignments. An assignment is created for every test event, school, and product. You may see multiple tiles here depending on your user role and associations. Review the details within the assignment to ensure you are selecting the correct option for the test event you are wanting to set up or administer. Clicking on the test event will bring you to the event dashboard. The event dashboard is where you will go to work through the steps of preparing for testing. To get started, review the test event checklist. These will guide you through everything that needs to be done for testing. There are two separate checklists, pre-test and post-test. The pre-test checklist has your to-do list prior to testing, and the post-test checklist is everything you need to wrap up once the administration is over. Click into the step for more details on each task. Check off the boxes as you complete a task. Select Save after checking boxes. You may see tasks that are for a test mode that you are not testing in. Those can be skipped if not applicable or mark as complete. You can go back and review completed tasks. Review both checklists regularly to make sure you are on track and to see what is coming up or still left to complete. Next, we will discuss creating rooms. Rooms need to be created for all students who will test, either online or paper. This can be completed by a test coordinator, district test coordinator, or contract coordinator. Note, rooms can be created at any time prior to test day. There needs to be a separate room in TCM for each physical room that the students will be testing in. There is no limit to the number of rooms that can be created. Separate rooms will also need to be created for every test event that you will be participating in. These rooms will be used by the room supervisor on test day to manage testing, including seating charts, the prompts on test day, documenting the irregularities, and timing the tests. To get started, click the plus sign next to Rooms and Staff, then click Manage Rooms and Staff. Select Create Room. You may also come to this page to edit any existing test session that you have previously created. Enter all room information: room name, capacity, mode, test option, timing code. All fields are required. Room maximum capacity will end up controlling how many students you can assign to the room. It is okay to have a higher capacity than students assigned to the room, but should reflect how many students could test in the room while following ACT spacing guidelines. It is very important when creating the rooms to think about the examinees that will be assigned to this room. The timing code assigned when creating the room will need to match the examinee's accommodation in order to ensure the proper time is given on test day. Each room can only contain one timing code. Once all information is entered, select Continue. You will now enter the room structure: shape of room, seating arrangement, desk type, supervisor desk location. Please select the options that resemble the room as closely as possible if an exact match is not represented. This replaces the need to draw the room layout on a printed test administration form. Select Continue. Enter the number of rows and seats per row, size of each work surface, and distance between examinees. What you enter here will control how the room supervisor creates the seating chart on test day, so please be as accurate as possible. Select Continue. You have now successfully created a test room. Repeat these steps until all needed rooms have been created. After creating the room, you will assign a room supervisor to each room. Be sure to check the ACT policies for guidelines on who is eligible to be a room supervisor and the examinee to proctor ratio. To assign a room supervisor, select Assign. You will be presented with a list of staff that are eligible to be assigned to the room. Staff can only be assigned to one room at a time. If you need to add more staff to the system, select Manage Pool in Now to be redirected back to the user's page within ACT Now. If the number of students in the room require a proctor, select Add Proctor after assigning the room supervisor. Now that staff have been assigned to the room, you will assign examinees to the room. Using the toolbar on the left side of the screen, select Examinees and Rosters. If you have students testing online and students testing on paper, you'll see the breakdown of test type by toggling between the tabs on the Examinees and Rosters page. To assign students to the room, check the box next to their name and select Manage Assignment. You may check multiple students at once to assign them all to the same room. You can use the filters to help see which students still need assigned to a test room. A pop-up box will appear showing which rooms the examinees are eligible to be assigned to. Select the appropriate room and select Save. If the rooms are grayed out, this means that the setup of the room does not match the student. This could be due to test mode, test option, or accommodation, or if the room is already at capacity. If the student doesn't match any of the available rooms, additional rooms may need to be created. A green checkbox will appear on the tab once all students have been assigned to a test room. If you are testing online, you will need to print the student authorization tickets prior to testing. These tickets are used by the student to log into TestNav and access the test. From the Examinees and Rosters page, select Student Auth Tickets. A PDF file will be generated to print the tickets. The authorization tickets will be grouped together by test room. To help with organization, it is best to have all examinees assigned to a test room before generating the file. We'll cover your test day activities next. Prepare your testing rooms. Use 2 reliable timepieces, not a cell phone. Ensure your own access to a phone which must be kept on silent. Ensure proper lighting, temperature, and ventilation. Prepare the administration materials. Schools may provide students with number 2 pencils with erasers, a pencil sharpener, and permitted calculators if you choose. No writing. Here is a sample test day schedule for standard time testing. You'll want to begin testing no later than 9 a.m. If starting any later, complete and submit an irregularity report. Ensure that the minimal demographic information is completed for all paper testing examinees prior to starting the subject test. A 15-minute break is required after test 2. Test 3 must start no later than 15 minutes after test 2 ends. Do not delay or lengthen a break waiting for other rooms or examinees. Do not leave the test room or test booklets unattended. All test booklets must be closed during the break or collected if examinees are allowed to stay in the room. Do not alter the testing sequence by skipping or lengthening breaks, allowing additional breaks, or scheduling the break at another time. Late examinees can be readmitted but cannot make up lost time. Continuously monitor examinees during breaks for prohibited behavior, especially cell phone usage. To assist testing staff to administer the test with the correct test booklets, ACT adds a test date flyer in the shipment of test materials. The test date flyer is a colored sheet of paper which is placed on the top of the test booklets and states which dates the test books can be used. When you receive your test materials, please double check that the test date flyer indicates the materials are for the date you intend to test. If this is not the case, contact ACT immediately so that we can make arrangements to get you the correct test materials. If starting after 9 a.m., you will need to complete an irregularity report. All sessions must begin by 10:30 a.m. The test sequence and timing of tests must not be altered. Administer breaks as outlined in the policy modules. Lunch may not be provided during the break after test 2. The room supervisor test day activities include: open the room, create the seating chart, read task cards, report any irregularities or prohibited behaviors. Remember, absent students should be marked with an irregularity. Whether you are testing online or paper accommodations, open test rooms in the morning on test day. When opening the test rooms, make sure that the room setup details match the room type and timing codes that you should be administering. If things do not match, do not open the room. Contact the test coordinator to have the room updated. Once the room is open, this will be the main page you stay on during testing. You will be able to manage student tests and access the task cards that guide you through testing. We will first talk about the task cards. The task cards will replace the paper manuals that you read from on test day. They will walk you through step by step, providing instructions, actions, and verbal prompts to administer the ACT. Once you have read the task, select Complete to have the next task card pop up. Task cards are available to preview before test day on the room dashboard. If you want to preview the task cards, and we recommend that you do so, view all task cards before opening the test room. Do not open the test room before test day, and don't use the live task cards to preview once the room is open. Once a task card is marked as completed, it cannot be undone, so don't click through the live task cards until you've opened your test room and are completing them live. The task card preview should only be used before test day to prepare. Don't use the preview on test day because it will not capture your progress in TCM. Students should be assigned to a specific seat within the TCM test room on test day. This will be one of the task cards to complete, but it can be completed early if your school assigns seats to students before test day. To complete, select Seating Chart from the left toolbar. To move a student to a seat, you can drag and drop their name from the left into the appropriate chair, or you may click on the student's name and then click on the seat. The rows and number of chairs shown on the screen match how the room was created prior to testing. If you have any paper accommodations testing, you will also see the option to assign the test booklet to the student. This is a required step for test security and should be completed after test booklets have been handed out. Select Save Seat Assignment once complete. If you have students that are absent on test day, you should mark them as absent in TCM. This will free the student up to be rescheduled for a makeup test day. This can be done before opening the room or while testing is happening. To mark a student as absent, move to the Examinees and Rosters tab. From here, check the box next to the student's name and select the drop-down menu to the right of Manage Assignment and select Mark as Absent. If the student will participate in makeup testing in a different test event, remember to go into ACT Now and update the test event assignment by the Add and Assign deadline to receive makeup testing materials. More information on how to do this will be provided later in this presentation. Prior to test day, print the authorization tickets. Distribute authorization tickets only when prompted by task card. Each authorization ticket is unique to the specific examinee. TestNav keeps official time for each student, not the test room. Student times begin once they start the subject. The timer in the test room is a general idea, but examinees may end test at slightly different times. Use the test room within TCM to manage online testing. This will include unlocked tests, accessing seal codes, and managing student test status. We will discuss these tasks in the next few slides. Within the test room, unlock the test by clicking on the lock in the upper right-hand corner. Examinees will not be able to log into TestNav if the tests are not unlocked. You may also relock the tests during breaks. Task cards will prompt when to read the seal codes aloud to students. These codes should not be given to students prior to the start of the subject test. Throughout testing, keep an eye on the status of the examinee's test through the room in TCM. If a student's test is interrupted, you may need to edit their testing status. The above chart can be found in the online testing policies. As a room supervisor or proctor, it is your responsibility to be monitoring and documenting any irregularities or prohibited behavior that may arise during testing. You will now be able to document any irregularities through TCM for the test coordinator's approval, eliminating the need for the paper irregularity form when returning materials. To document an irregularity or prohibited behavior, select Irregularities from the toolbar on the left side. Select Create. Choose the appropriate irregularity from the provided list. For this example, I will choose to document a distraction. Some pages may vary depending on the irregularity that you are submitting, though the steps remain the same. After selecting the option, you will be asked to document the time and duration of the occurrence, what part of the test it happened in, and who was involved. This could be specific examinees, the entire room, or the entire site. The next page will bring you to select the affected examinees. Click Add New Examinee to see the list of students in your room and select All Applicable. If you selected entire room or entire site, you will not need to list all students. Instead, click Continue to proceed. The last step is to provide additional notes. Provide as much information as possible so that the test coordinator knows what happened and can plan the best course of action. If at any time you are unsure whether something is an irregularity or prohibited behavior, contact ACT for guidance. Test coordinators need to be available on test day to assist with testing for your entire site. Test coordinators are able to step in for room supervisors in managing a specific test room if needed. Use the Monitor Rooms tool to see all test rooms to monitor progression in the test. There is a refresh information button on the page, as well as a timestamp to show when it was last refreshed. To get up-to-the-minute info, refresh this page regularly. Watch for submitted irregularities and review as they come in. As a test coordinator, you access submitted irregularities through the same page that room supervisors used to submit the irregularity. Test coordinators should collect test materials once testing is complete and prepare materials to be returned back to ACT. You should also begin making plans or any makeup testing that is needed. Use the post-test checklist to see a complete list of tasks to complete after testing. Mark tasks as complete once done. If examinees are absent or otherwise unable to test during the planned test event, you may schedule the examinee for makeup testing. To do this, return to ACT Now to update the test event assigned to the examinee. Go to the Students tile, click the box next to their name, and select Event Assignment. Note, you can only test students within test events that are associated to your contract. Makeup testing may not be available for later test dates. Check your schedule of events for dates available within your contract. Scores will be available in online reporting in success.act.org. ACT online reporting allows authorized users to view summary, roster, student-level performance data, and contract reports. Approximately 3 to 8 weeks after your answer documents have been processed, the following reports will be provided: Student online scores, Student score report, High school score report, Student score labels, Student college report. Please refer to Step 3 of your ACT-hosted website for additional information about online reporting and your report schedule. Under Step 3, you will also find sample high school and sample student reports. Finally, here's ACT's contact information. The ACT-hosted state testing website has all the resources you'll need to successfully administer the ACT test. If the resources posted on the website do not answer your questions, please call or email us. Please note the extension numbers are different for standard time test administration questions, which is 2800, and accommodations and support questions, which is 1788. That concludes our presentation, and we will now open the session for questions. You may use the chat feature on the screen. Chat questions will be read and answered aloud for everyone's benefit. Now, what questions do you have?
Thanks for playing that for us, Emily. One of the things I mentioned in the presentation was something about if there's a problem in getting a paper test from ACT, and that shouldn't really have to happen because we've got so many test windows with so many opportunities to retest. So if there is an issue, if there's an irregularity, if there's say someone backs into a power line and you've got to switch to a different day, it's much easier just to switch online to a different day, especially if it's toward the end of the third window, than to try to switch to paper. So do remember that there is online's the only way we're going unless you're doing accommodated tests, and it's really easy just to go in and switch your students over to whatever another test day than what they currently have assigned. So any other questions for us in the chat or out loud? I don't know if people can go out loud, but maybe in the chat.
There are a few questions in the chat, and thank you, Scott, for reiterating 100% online unless paper accommodations. And if you are curious to know what the dates are, deadlines are, I do want to remind everyone In the chat, there is the Utah State hosted webpage. It's a very valuable document or webpage for you with various websites as well as resources and videos to help you, because I do see in the chat there is someone asking for training for room supervisors. That information is on the state hosted webpage. Under step 1, you can find valuable videos and modules for your room supervisors as well as test coordinators. So please review the state hosted webpage as well as the schedule of events. The schedule of events does have dates and deadlines, and there may be frequently changes. So please refer to your schedule of events that contain dates and deadlines. Also, Scott, correct me if I am wrong, this webinar will be posted on the Utah YouTube page next week, 2 to 3 business days, correct?
Give us 48 hours at least, but Emily's amazing. She asks for 48 hours and usually has it done sooner. But by Monday, check it out. It should be up and running, and it'll be on our Assessment and Accountability YouTube channel.
Thank you for that. Also, someone asked what action should be taken if the site missed their test date selection deadline, which is approaching. We're going to ask you to please contact ACT customer support and please provide your preferred test dates as well as your primary test coordinator information.
So this is Jessica. If you were not on our assessment directors meeting this morning, or if you're not reviewing our assessment director memos that we send out every week, as Marissa just stated, your schedule of events is critical to abiding by the deadlines for ACT. So your closest deadline is for submitting accommodations in TAA. I've been sending out the information in assessment director's memos. I reviewed it again this morning in our online AD meeting. All of the information that you need to submit those accommodations is under step 1 on our ACT hosted website, which we've linked a couple of times here in the chat. But if you have any questions about that, please reach out to myself or the accommodations special, or the ACT special education, or oh, I can't, it's been a long day. The ACT accommodation support team.
Thank you for that, Jessica. Emily, if it's possible, can you place the last slide back on the screen just to show the email address as well as the phone number, if it's possible? If not, I will post it in the chat. I just need that last slide. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for that. As a reminder, the extension for standard test administration and accommodation support number are different. The extension for test administration is extension 2800 option 4. Option 4, and for accommodations and support, same number, but extension is 1788 for accommodations and support. Your state representative, Jessica, did post her email address into the chat. If you have any accommodation questions or you need accommodations and support questions, she is also available to reach out to.
One more thing about accommodations. If anybody is here that was not in the AD memo, it is imperative when you enter those accommodations, or whoever that is at your LEA, that they are going back into that TAA system and following through, because you're going to receive what's called a decision notification. And you really want to pay attention if there's any students who were denied their accommodation. You need to investigate that. And then there is a window, the reconsideration window, to do another submission if there was maybe an error on your part, maybe it wasn't listed on the plan that you submitted. And that's a really short timeline during that reconsideration window. There's like 2 weeks for you to make a resubmission. So pay attention to that as well. Once you've submitted it, don't just ignore it. You need to follow through in the TAA and look for that decision notification.
Thank you for that reminder, Jessica. In the chat, we also have another USBE State Representative Maureen. She posted in the chat her email address. If you are unable to see your spring 2025 administration in ACT Now, please contact by emailing maureen.rushing@schools.utah.gov. She will assist you. If you are unable to see spring 2025 administration in ACT Now, I do encourage you to contact maureen.rushing@schools.utah.gov as soon as possible.
Yeah. Usually if you can't see ACT Now for this year, someone at your district or charter school did not answer Maureen's survey from, I think, last October, when we asked you to tell us who your district test coordinator should be, because everyone that answered that survey was assigned and had got access right after that assignment happened. So double check to make sure you can see 2025 and let us know if you can't, because we want to get you in there. We've wanted to get you in there for a couple of months now.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Question in the chat, Marissa. If a room supervisor marks a student absent and they come a few minutes late, will we be able to assign them to a late testing room on the same day? They said last year it seemed that once the room was opened, it seemed that they were not able to reassign that student the same day.
Or is this in the chat? Was this a personal? Did I miss
Yes,
this
in
one?
the chat.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I had to scroll up. Marks the student absent. Give me 1 second. Let me just confirm. They will have to call into ACT in order to reassign the student. And the number is on the screen. So, but they will need to call into ACT to have them reassigned.
Thank you. Any other questions? It looks like I'm not seeing any other additional ones.
These were great questions. These were great questions. I really appreciate all the questions that were shared in the chat. If you have any questions after this webinar, please feel free to contact us. Our number is on the screen. If you have any further questions and you would like to speak to your state representative, they are here to support you as well. We have Scott, we have Jessica, we have Maureen, we have Emily as well on the Utah side, and they are here to support you.
I just put my email in the chat also. Never apologize if you contact us with a question. We're happy to help you out. But please don't forget, we've got two fantastic websites, our schedulable events and our Utah ACT site. A lot of times when I get questions, that's the first place I go. It's those two sites, because they have a lot of the information or things that you need there to get you going. But for things like, you know, getting access or not seeing your students and stuff like that, please do contact us, because we want you to have that access. Especially, we mentioned in the AD meeting today, there's a 15% increase this year from last year of students that are now rostered to take the ACT this year. That's a massive increase, but we've also got about a 15 to 20% reduction in the number of accommodation requests over last year. And that sounds a little kitty wonkus to us. That's the official term, I think, scientific term, because there should be a lot more accommodation requests coming in with a lot more students. And so we're looking forward to seeing this administration with extra students in it versus the previous year, but we definitely want to get those accommodations in with the deadline that's just literally a week from tomorrow.
Thank you all. I see a kudos. I
Appreciate
see a
that,
kudos in
Sally.
the chat. We have wonderful district support from Brandon Jackson. So
Yep.
thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.